Hello everyone! In this week's video, I'm redesigning one of my original characters. In recent videos, I've been working on developing my fairy world and the characters in it. A character I've been wanting to rework for a while now is Carson. Carson has been the co-star of Pariah's story since the start, and he's gone through some changes over the years, and now it's time for him to change again. But before we jump into that, I want to thank Character Hub for sponsoring this video. If you're like me and have tons of OCs, it can be hard to remember all of your characters and the details about them. However, with Character Hub, you can effortlessly organize and share your original characters. You can create profiles like this one that have all of the info of your character in one place. I love that I can include the character's color palette. It's super handy. I also like that you can choose to keep the profile private. That way you can still organize characters that you can't make public yet. Another neat feature is the customization option. Use customization to change profile colors, fonts, borders, and more on character profiles with no coding required. Character Hub is currently holding a giveaway in collaboration with me. Submit your original characters on Character Hub and let the community decide the winner. Every participant will get a limited edition digital item, and the characters with the most votes from the community will get a compliment bomb, featuring their OC in front of the entire community. So start organizing your OCs with Character Hub. There are links in the description and pinned comment down below. I'm going to start by drawing Carson's most current design so that I have something to work off of. I was a bit surprised that the only recent art I have of him is this drawing that I did like over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I feel bad for not drawing him very much since he is a very important part of the story. But a lot of times if I do draw Carson, it's kind of just a little doodle instead of like finished art. The original Carson that I created when I was 17 looked like this. Sorry this is a really rough sketch, but this is the only sketch I have of him since I lost almost all the files for the original Pariah story when my computer broke. This one survived because it was on my hard drive. But this version of Carson was a kind and friendly person that would help Pariah learn what kind of plant she grew. At the time, he didn't grow a plant because in the old fairy universe, males couldn't grow plants. This was mostly because fairies used to grow plants from the seed pods on their head, and male characters always looked funny to me when I would try to add them, so I made it so only females can grow plants. A handful of years later, I came back to Pariah's story and the characters in her world. This is when I redesigned Carson into this. This is much closer to his current design. With this change, Carson's personality also changed. He's still helpful, but is a bit more aloof and not very open with his emotions. He's on the shyer and more reserved side. This was meant to kind of balance with Pariah's more outgoing personality. This version of Carson grows moss. Moss grows on his head like hair and can release spores. And that's kind of how he grows his plant. This version of Carson doesn't vary too much from the current version. The only real difference is that the kind of moss he grows has changed to Spanish moss. I chose this moss because of its texture and color, and for other story-related reasons that I can't get into. And of course, the other difference is that I draw him in my chibi elf style now. So yeah, this is the current Carson, and I do still like him, but he needs to change. As I have created other characters, I have added Silva and Chip. Their personalities are on the more serious and reserved side, kind of like Carson. So to make the group's personality dynamic more interesting, Carson needs to change. But he also needs to change because I am finding I'm having a hard time writing a story for the current Carson. I feel like I'm always battling with his personality and the writing just isn't coming naturally. I always feel like I'm at odds with him. So let's take this design and draw over it with a new one. This Carson is going to be more chaotic, I suppose. He lives in a bustling swamp village and is a bit of a street rat. I am giving him rounded ears since he is not a magic user now. Like I said, he grows his plant via the moss on his head instead of using magic like many other fairies. And I decided that fairies that don't use magic will have rounded ears. For his eyes, I wanted to go with a smaller iris look. I have never really done this eye style for any of my original characters, so I thought this would help make him be unique. Also, instead of adding color to the lower area of the eye, I'm only adding one highlight. Since his irises are on the smaller side, I don't want to overwhelm them. And I feel like making them less shiny kind of fits with his personality. In this video, I worked on drawing characters with different facial features, and that is something I want to try to include in my character designs. I was going in between two nose shapes, a pointed one like this, and a more rounded shape. I like both and felt like both could work. However, I want to try to have each main character of the group have their own nose shape, and I had thought that Malachi would be cute with the rounded shape. So I opened up his art file and tried drawing the rounded nose shape on his face. And yeah, I really like it. I feel like it's a cute detail to add to his face, and it helps his design feel more round and kid-like. So since Malachi gets the rounded shape, I will give Carson the more pointed shape. Oh, and I gave him a bandana because I thought it fit the vibe of his character. I did later notice that I also gave Malachi a bandana, but I'm going to change it to a scarf since a scarf would probably better fit Malachi. Anyways, now is the hair, and I wasn't totally sure if I wanted to change the hair or keep it the same. I thought about going with something similar, but some of it is like tied up into a bun or ponytail, but I wasn't really liking that idea. So I kind of just tried drawing a different hair shape. This time it is parted on the left. I'm going to have the right side kind of all coming forward, but the left side will be kind of combed back. I feel like this gives him a cooler look and also better shows off his rounded ears. Carson will be the only one in the group with rounded ears, so I kind of want to show them off. Also, I came up with names for the different kinds of fairies. So there are fairies like Carson that don't use magic. They are called Dims. Dim means none in Welsh. I felt like that was fitting since their magic use is none. So Carson is a dim fairy. Fairies like Pariah and Chip are typics. This is kind of just a play on the word typical. These fairies are the most common and therefore are the typical kind of fairy you would see in this world. Alfred and Eugene are demi-royas. Roya is a play on royal, but it is also a name that can mean royalty depending on its origin. Then we have fairies like Silva, and she is a roya. These are the most powerful fairies, and they most often rule over other fairies. I might end up changing the names for the different fairy groups, but for now I am liking these ones. I do still have to think of a name for the star people like Malachi. I don't want them to just be called star people in the story. After getting the face done, I moved on to his outfit. For the most part, I wanted to keep it similar. I really like the detail of him using a lily pad as a shirt, so I kept that detail. I thought about keeping the pants and shoes the same as well. However, they just weren't giving the vibe I wanted, so I tried changing them up a bit. I feel like the knee-high boots and tucked-in pants felt a little bit more fitting, but Chip and Malachi also wear high boots and have their pants tucked in, so I might change it up, but we'll see. I do know that I really like the pop of burgundy. I feel like it'll help make Carson stand out, as there is a lot of green in Pariah's world, and green in the other character designs, so having the pop of burgundy I feel like really helps. I am a little nervous that Carson and Chip will look too similar since they both have green hair and tanner skin tones, but Chip has a more bluey green and is styled very differently, plus Chip has a different body build. But I may play around with Chip's colors just a bit to help them be even more different. Next I'm drawing a profile view for Carson, mostly to try to draw his nose shape from this angle, but also to see if I like drawing his hair on this side. I was a bit worried that the swoopy back side would give me trouble, but thankfully it didn't. Also, thank you to all of those who gave me a tip. In this video where I was trying to draw different face details, I mentioned that I wish I could find references of the same person in different views so that I could learn to draw different facial features in different views. And some of you suggested movies or TV shows, and that was so helpful. Now when I'm watching shows or movies, I try to study people's faces and how their features look at different angles, and it's been really helpful. I also do it when I watch cartoons or anime, so it's been really helpful for trying to find different kinds of face details and knowing how to draw them at different angles. So here's my first design page for Carson. Now that I have his design more in place, I want to draw some sketches to help me better get to know this version of Carson. We are going to speed through the rough sketches here, but then we'll go over to the camera recorded footage to change things up a bit. Also, Carson is named Carson because the name means son of the marsh dwellers. He originally lived in a marsh, but now he lives in a swamp, so the name isn't as on point, but he is Carson to me, so I can't change his name. For the first sketch, I drew a full body pose, and he's kind of leaning against a non-existent wall. I do feel like his face looks a bit off in this drawing, but I feel like as I draw him more, I'll start to get a better understanding of drawing him in different views. And since he does have kind of different features from my default, I need to kind of fight with my muscle memory a bit. My muscle memory wants to go to my default, but I'm like, no, I need to draw it like this instead. So I'm kind of trying to work that up for drawing his details, if that makes sense. Like I mentioned, this Carson is a bit more chaotic than the previous version. He's confident, talks a lot, and is a do first, think later kind of person. He's also very honest and very blunt, but can be a bit mysterious at times. He's very street smart and doesn't trust people very easily. And I'm not 100% decided on this, but my idea is that Carson's goal is to find his family. He was separated from them when he was young and grew up in an orphanage. And now that he is 16, he left the orphanage and is trying to find the family that he lost. But he needs to find a way to get out of the swamp village first. And that's kind of a complicated process due to story stuff that I'm not going to get into right now. I feel like I can't say too much else about Carson's backstory and stuff because I don't want to get into spoilers. But yeah, that's what I can tell you about him. Also, I love this chibi version of him. It really fits the personality that I'm going for. It was really funny because as I was working on this, I kept thinking of my sister Reagan and I wasn't totally sure why. So I messaged a pic of the finished chibi to her and I said, I felt like you would appreciate this chibi. And she responded with, haha, he's making the same face as Sleeping Bag Kun. And Sleeping Bag Kun is one of Reagan's characters and he makes this face when he's happy. So that's why I thought of Reagan when I drew it. I kept being so confused why I kept thinking of Reagan when I was drawing this, but it all made sense in the end. Also, yeah, as you can tell by this little text blurb that I added, I think Carson's personality is kind of like a chaotic cat. He can be kind of aloof, does what he wants, and can also be kind of hyper and sporadic. He's kind of going to be the wild card of the group. You never really know what he's going to do. A little off topic, but this is the first video that I have posted in the last couple of weeks that wasn't pre-made. I had pre-made videos to go up while I was on vacation, and now I'm back from vacation, so it's been nice to get back into the swing of things. The trip went well and was a lot of fun. It was a 1-week family vacation with my in-laws. I was a bit nervous about the trip. I have met all of my in-laws before, but I never had to spend a whole week with all of them. But it was very good. We all stayed at a house that was by a lake, and the lake was super pretty. The house had a pontoon boat with it. I had never gone on a pontoon before because I do get really bad motion sickness, but I bought some motion sickness patches and I was able to go on the boat without getting sick, so that was really nice. I did only go on the boat once. It was really pretty and I enjoyed it, but I could tell it did kind of mess with my equilibrium, and once my equilibrium gets thrown out of whack, it's really hard to get it to go back. So I decided to not push it. But I am happy I gave it a try at least once. We also all played a lot of card games like Rook, Wizards, Phase 10, Dutch Blitz. We also played Codenames and that was really fun. Oh, I also got to try the Stickman fighting game. It was really chaotic but also super fun. Another new thing I did is I got to try mini golf for the first time. I've always wanted to play mini golf, but my family has never gone since there's not really a good one like near where we live. So I was super looking forward to it when I learned we would be doing that. And I did a lot better than I thought I would. It's kind of funny because I have played a ton of golfing video games. So like I know the mechanics of how it works. I just have to be able to physically do it. So it was really interesting. One of the holes had a water hazard on it. It was a little waterfall river kind of thing, and I was nervous I would hit my ball into it. I was trying to avoid it, but my ball bounced off a rock and went into the water. I started to panic a bit, but then at the bottom of the course, my ball kind of just popped out of a pipe. I was really relieved because I was kind of panicking for a moment, like, oh no, I'm gonna have to walk all the way back and get a new ball. So yeah, overall it was really fun. I was kind of sad I got sick with a cold while on the trip. It was kind of spreading around the house because a family member got a cold while traveling, so being sick wasn't fun. I missed out on shopping with all of the girls because I didn't feel well enough that day. But with the power of ibuprofen, I was able to make it through vacation. It was kind of funny because I didn't feel like too bad while on vacation, but once I was at home and like all the excitement and adrenaline and stuff was gone, I just like crashed. Thankfully, I am over the cold now, and I got better in time to spend 4th of July with my family. I hadn't gotten to see them for a while, so it was really great getting to watch the fireworks and spend time with them. We all ended up playing Among Us because my siblings and I got it on our Switches, and it was so fun. It was the first time I had gotten to play it with my husband as well, so that was really interesting. So yeah, we all had a really good time. Anyways, back to the art. Something I do want to try to experiment with is the pencil I use for sketching. For a good while now, I've been using the Write Borrow pen, and I do really like it for my sketches. But for some reason recently, I've been wanting to find a new sketching pencil. I keep wondering if I want to try to make my own like I did with my watercolor brush. So maybe I'll give that a try sometime. If you know of any good sketchy brushes that you like to use in Clip Studio Paint, please let me know down in the comments. I'm happy to check out any recommendations. One of the reasons I gave Carson the bandana is so that he can kind of use it as a mask. Let's just say that Carson's actions may not always be the most lawful of actions, or he has the habit of getting tangled up with some not so friendly individuals. So hiding some of his face can be good. Also, I'm happy to say that I've been able to put a bit more time into writing and planning Pariah's story recently. I've been working on character profiles, making the outline, writing down lore, and figuring out how the magic works. Oh, speaking of the magic, you may notice that I included Voy type in my sketch sheet. I decided the name for the magic is Voy. Voy means life in Greek. Since the magical power is derived from a fairy's life energy, I felt like this name was fitting. Fairies have a kind of symbiotic relationship with plants. Plants let off Voy energy, and the fairies absorb this energy. Therefore, growing plants is very important, as without them the fairies would die. An exception to this is the star fairies. They have their own kind of magic that is different than the plant fairy magic. So yeah, as you can see, I've been working on building lore and giving things names. I am very pleased with this new version of Carson, and I'm super excited to draw him interacting with everyone. Like I mentioned, I was having a hard time writing the previous version of Carson, but for this one I am filled with inspiration and ideas, so I'm very happy about that. I also feel like his new personality will be a good one to add to the group and will provide more interest. So here is the old design and new design. I love designing characters and always find it fun, so I really enjoyed working on this video, and I hope you all like this new design as well. I hope to slightly rework the other characters like Chip and Silva, so maybe that'll be in an upcoming video. Before we end, I want to thank my super awesome YouTube members and Patreon patrons, including Tamalum, Nix Williams, The Strawberry Mage, Addie, Aspen Kana, Black Wolf Soul, Brianna H, Eduardo, Erie Mello, Eliza Ditton, Gabriella, Insomniac Sleep Schedule, Jessica, Cosmic Dragon, Laughing Raven, Lisa, Little Herrix, Mary, Naru Roizuka, Plasma Revolution, Rachel S, Rex Henry, Sam F, Twin Vani, Sunshine Crystal, Meryl Rakchashurin, Wiki Silence, Colum Warner, Akil Deep, Linz, Launchpad McQuack, Roseberry Fizz, and Just Ishi. Thank you all so much for your support, it means so much to me. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next week in my next video. Bye!